The stars looked different from the bridge of the Exodus. Jack Hayes stood with his hands pressed against the cold glass watching Earth die. Behind him, the ship buzzed with activity. People ran back and forth shouting orders, checking systems, making sure everyone was safe. But Jack could not move. He could only watch. The year was 2157. 3 months ago, they came from the dark space between stars. The Vecren. Nobody knew where they came from or why they chose Earth. They just appeared one day in massive ships that blocked out the sun. Within hours, every major city was burning. Within days, the oceans started to boil. Within weeks, billions of people were dead. Jack was a commander in Earth's United Defense Fleet. He fought in the first battles. He watched good men and women die trying to stop the Vecren advance. Nothing worked. Their shields were too strong. Their weapons were too powerful. Every time humans thought they found a weakness, the Vecren adapted. It was like fighting gods. Emma Price stood beside him now. She was only 24 years old, a tactical officer who graduated from the academy just 6 months before the invasion. Her uniform was dirty and torn. Her face was covered in dust, but her eyes were clear and focused. She held a recording device in her hand. The Vecren mothership hung in space above Earth like a dark moon. Its surface was covered in strange patterns that glowed red. Energy gathered at its center, building and building. Jack knew what was coming. Everyone knew. This was the final strike. The Vecren did not just want to defeat humanity. They wanted to erase them completely. Behind the Exodus, 4 other colony ships waited. They were massive vessels, each one 3 miles long. Humanity built them over decades for a different purpose. They were meant to carry people to new worlds, to spread civilization across the galaxy. Now they carried the last survivors. 50,000 people. That was all that remained of 8 billion souls. Jack turned away from the window. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. These were good people. Engineers, scientists, soldiers, families. Children cried in their mothers' arms. Old people sat quietly, their faces blank with shock. Everyone had lost someone. Everyone had seen horrors that would never fade from memory. He walked to the captain's chair and sat down. Emma followed him, still holding the recorder. Jack took a deep breath. When he spoke, his voice was steady, even though tears ran down his face. This is Commander Jack Hayes of the colony ship Exodus. Today is the darkest day in human history. We are leaving Earth, not by choice. Not because we want to, but because we must survive. The Vecren think they have won. They think they have destroyed us. They are wrong. He paused, looking at the people around him. They were listening now, all of them. Even the children had stopped crying. We will survive. We will grow strong. We will remember every single person who died today. Every man, woman, and child. Every dream that was taken away. Every life that was stolen. And one day, when we are ready, we will come back. We will find the Vecren, and we will make them pay for what they have done. The bridge was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Soon everyone was clapping, even crying, some shouting in anger and grief. Emma stopped the recording and looked at Jack. She nodded once, her jaw set firm. The quantum drives powered up. This was new technology, barely tested. Scientists discovered it just 10 years ago in Antarctica, buried under ancient ice. The ruins were millions of years old, left by some other species. The star maps they found pointed to a system far away, a place where humanity could hide and rebuild. Dr. Ryan Cole was in charge of the science team. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He worked for 72 hours straight to get the quantum drives operational. Now he sat at his station, fingers flying over the controls. The drives needed perfect timing. If one ship jumped even a second too early or too late, it would be lost forever in the space between dimensions. On Earth's surface, the Vecren weapon fired. A beam of pure white light shot down from the mothership. Where it touched, the ground simply disappeared. The beam moved slowly across the planet, cutting a line through continents and oceans. Mountains vanished. Cities that somehow survived the initial attacks were erased in seconds. The atmosphere caught fire. "Jump in 5 seconds," Ryan called out. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. Jack gripped the arms of his chair. Around the fleet, space began to bend and twist. The quantum drives created a bubble around each ship, pulling them into another dimension where distance had no meaning. The Vecren detected the energy spike. 3 of their warships broke formation and raced toward the human fleet. 2 seconds, the Vecren ships fired. Energy beams crossed the space between them and the colony ships. But they were too late. Jump reality tore open. The 5 human ships vanished. The quantum wake from their departure hit the 3 Vecran vessels like a hammer. Their shields overloaded. Their hulls cracked. 2 of them exploded. The third spun out of control, tumbling through space. Inside the Exodus, everything went dark. The quantum jump felt like falling and flying at the same time. People screamed. Others prayed. Jack held on tight, feeling his stomach twist. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The lights came back on. The ship steadied. "We made it," Emma whispered. She looked shocked, like she could not believe they were still alive. Ryan checked his instruments. All 5 ships jumped successfully. "We are in the Kepler system." The journey took 3 months in normal space, but the quantum drive moved us in less than a second. "We are 40 light years from Earth." Jack stood up and walked back to the window. Outside, a new sun burned bright. 7 planets orbited around it. The 3rd planet from the sun glowed blue and green. New Terra, their new home. It looked almost like Earth. Almost. Over the next 3 months, the 5 colony ships traveled to New Terra. It was a long journey. People had to adjust to their new reality. They held funerals for those they lost. They cried together. They tried to heal. But Jack made sure they never forgot. He created something called the Remembrance Protocol. Every day at the same time, everyone would gather. They would watch videos from Earth. They would read names of the dead. They would study Vecran technology and tactics. They would train and prepare. Even the children, Emma became the head of military training. She was young, but she understood what needed to be done. Every child born on these ships would grow up knowing they had a mission. They were not just survivors. They were the foundation of something new, a humanity that would never be caught off guard again. Ryan worked day and night studying the ancient technology they found in Antarctica. The ruins belonged to a species called the Architects. They existed millions of years ago. The Vecran destroyed them too, just like they tried to destroy humanity. But the Architects left behind knowledge, blueprints, weapons, technology that could bend the laws of physics. One night, a baby was born on the Exodus. A little girl. Her parents named her Maya Chen. She came into the world crying and healthy, surrounded by people who loved her. Jack held her in his arms and made a promise. This child would never know the fear that they knew. She would grow up strong and free, and when the time came, she would be part of the force that took back their home. The 5 colony ships reached New Terra orbit. The planet was perfect. Water covered 70% of the surface. The atmosphere was breathable. The gravity was slightly higher than Earth, but humans would adapt. There were no intelligent species, no threats, just a beautiful empty world waiting for them. They landed near the equator, in a wide valley between mountains. The first thing they did was plant a flag, not the flag of any old nation. Those nations were gone, burned away with Earth. This was a new flag, white with a blue circle in the center. Inside the circle was a small green dot. Earth. A reminder of what they lost and what they would reclaim. Jack stood on New Terra soil for the first time. The ground was red and dusty. The air smelled strange, full of alien plants and minerals. But it was solid. It was real. It was theirs. He gathered everyone together. 50,000 people stood in that valley looking at him. He did not give a long speech. He just said 5 words that would become humanity's motto for the next 3,000 years. We will never forget. The crowd repeated it. We will never forget. Again and again until their voices echoed off the mountains. Up in orbit, the colony ships were being broken down. Their parts would build the first city. New Terra would rise from the ashes of Earth. And one day humanity would rise again to take back what was stolen from them. Emma stood beside Jack, watching the sun set on their first day. The sky turned purple and orange. 2 moons appeared on the horizon. How long do you think it will take, she asked. To be ready, Jack looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth floated dead in space. Somewhere out there, the Vecran celebrated their victory. As long as it takes, he said. 100 years. 1,000. 10,000. It does not matter. We will remember. We will prepare, and we will return. That night, the first child born on New Terra took her first breath under alien stars. Maya Chen did not know it yet, but she would grow up to be one of the greatest warriors humanity ever produced. She would lead the charge when humanity finally returned home, but that was far in the future. For now, she was just a baby, sleeping peacefully while around her. 800 years passed. New Terra was no longer a dusty frontier world. Massive cities covered 3 continents. 50 million people lived and worked under skies that were always just a little too purple. The planet's higher gravity made everyone stronger. Children who grew up here could lift twice what their ancestors on Earth could manage. They ran faster, fought harder, healed quicker. General Kate Morrison stood at the Remembrance Monument. It was a pyramid made of black stone, 500 feet tall. Inside were preserved samples of Earth's soil, water from the Pacific Ocean, and data files containing every recorded moment of the invasion. Holographic displays showed the faces of the dead. 8 billion faces. Kate came here every morning before work. She was the great-great-great-granddaughter of Jack Hayes. The first director of New Terra died 400 years ago, but his genes lived on. Kate had his strong jaw and clear blue eyes. She also had his determination. As commander of the Phoenix Initiative, she controlled the largest secret military project in human history. Deep underground, in facilities carved from solid rock, humanity built its revenge fleet. 500 warships, each one a masterpiece of technology. They looked nothing like the old Earth ships that tried and failed to stop the Vecran. These ships were sleek and dangerous. Their hulls were made from programmable matter that could heal damage and adapt to threats. Their weapons could tear holes in space itself. Kate walked through the main hangar. Crews worked on the ships day and night. Welders threw sparks. Engineers shouted instructions. The air smelled like hot metal and electricity. These people were the best humanity had to offer. Every single person here grew up learning about Earth. They all knew the mission. Captain Maya Chen waited by her ship. She was 28 years old and had been training for combat since she could walk. Her body was enhanced with cybernetic implants. Tiny computers in her brain helped her think faster. Artificial muscles in her arms and legs gave her incredible strength. Her eyes could see in total darkness and zoom in on targets miles away. But the hardware was not what made Maya special. It was her spirit. She grew up listening to stories about Earth. Her grandmother told her about blue oceans and green forests, about cities where millions of people lived in peace, about a world where children played without knowing fear. Maya never saw Earth, but she dreamed about it every night. General Morrison, Maya said, snapping to attention. The squadron is ready for inspection. Kate smiled. She liked Maya. The young captain reminded her of herself at that age. Hungry, focused, angry in a way that would never fade. At ease, Captain. Show me what you have. Maya led her to a row of smaller ships. These were fighters, each one designed for a single pilot. They were fast and deadly, equipped with weapons that made no sound in the vacuum of space but could cut through enemy armor like paper. 50 pilots stood at attention. All of them had the same enhancements as Maya. All of them had trained together since childhood. This is the Vengeful Squadron, Maya said. We are ready for combat. Kate walked down the line looking at each pilot. They were so young. Most were in their 20s. Some were teenagers. On old Earth, they would be going to college, falling in love, living normal lives. Here they were weapons, perfectly crafted instruments of war. She stopped at the end of the line and turned to face them all. You have trained your entire lives for this. You are the best of the best. But I need you to understand something. When we launch the Phoenix Initiative, there is no going back. We will be at war. Many of you will die. Are you ready for that? Every pilot shouted in unison. We are ready. Kate nodded. Then she walked away to the next section of the facility. Here the scientists worked. Dr. Alex Cole was the chief researcher. He was the great-great-great-grandson of Ryan Cole, the man who first discovered the quantum drive. Alex inherited his ancestors' brilliant mind. He also inherited his obsession with the architect ruins. For 800 years, humans studied the ancient technology found in Antarctica. They learned how the architects built weapons that could destroy stars. They learned how to fold space and create artificial gravity. They learned secrets that took the architects millions of years to discover, and humans did it in less than 1,000 years. Alex worked in a clean white laboratory surrounded by holographic displays. Data scrolled across screens faster than normal human eyes could follow. But Alex had implants too. His mind could process information at computer speeds. General, he said without looking up, I have something to show you. Kate walked over. What is it? Alex touched a control. A hologram appeared showing a massive weapon. It looked like a spike made of crystallized energy. This is the Stellar Lance. The architects built one before the Vecren destroyed them. I figured out how to make it work. Kate stared at the hologram. What does it do? It can crack a planet, Alex said quietly, or destroy an entire fleet. The energy beam exists in multiple dimensions at once. Shields cannot stop it. Armor cannot block it. When it hits something, that thing simply ceases to exist. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. How many do we have? Just one. It takes enormous power to fire. We installed it on the flagship. The Retribution? Kate nodded slowly. She thought about the weapon, about what it represented. Humanity spent 800 years preparing for revenge. They built ships that could challenge the Vecren. They created soldiers who were more than human. They uncovered weapons from a dead civilization, all for one purpose, to make the Vecren pay. That evening, Kate called a meeting of the Phoenix Council. This was a secret group of leaders who knew about the project. They represented the military, the government, the scientific community, and the civilian population. 12 people sat around a table deep underground. Kate stood at the head of the table. The Phoenix Initiative is complete. Our fleet is ready. Our soldiers are trained. Our weapons are operational. The question now is simple. Do we launch? Silence filled the room. Everyone knew what this meant. For 800 years, they talked about revenge. They planned for it. They built for it. But actually doing it was different. Once they left New Terra, there was no guarantee they would win. The Vecren Empire was massive. They controlled thousands of star systems. They had billions of soldiers. An old woman spoke first. Her name was Grace Martin. She was 90 years old and remembered her grandmother's stories about Earth. I vote yes. We did not survive this long just to hide. We survived to fight back. One by one, the others agreed. Every person in that room voted to launch. Kate felt relief and fear at the same time. This was really happening. After 800 years of waiting, humanity would finally strike back. The next 6 months were busy. The Phoenix fleet launched from New Terra in secret. 500 warships rose from underground facilities and took positions in high orbit. They tested their systems, ran combat drills, prepared for the long journey ahead. Maya and her squadron trained every day. They flew their fighters through obstacle courses. They practiced attack runs. They learned to work together so perfectly that they moved like a single organism. Maya pushed herself harder than anyone. She woke up at 4 in the morning. She trained until midnight. She dreamed of Earth even when she slept. Kate worked just as hard. She studied Vecren tactics. She memorized star maps. She planned the invasion down to the smallest detail. At night, she would stand by her window and look up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 40 light years away, Earth waited. A dead world, a ghost. But soon, very soon, it would have visitors. The day of departure came. Every citizen of New Terra gathered to watch. 50 million people stood in cities, towns, and farms looking up at the sky. Holographic displays showed the fleet in orbit. Kate broadcast a message from the flagship. People of New Terra. 800 years ago, our ancestors fled a dying Earth. They made a promise. They said they would return. They said they would never forget. Today we keep that promise. The Phoenix fleet launches not for conquest, not for glory, but for justice, for remembrance, for every soul that died when Earth burned. We will make the Vecren answer for their crimes. We will show them that humanity does not forgive. We do not forget, and we never surrender. The entire planet erupted in cheers. People cried and hugged each other. Parents held their children up to see the ships. Old people who remembered stories from their grandparents wept with joy. This was the moment 800 years of preparation led to. This was humanity rising from the ashes. The quantum drives activated. Reality bent and twisted around 500 ships. For a moment, the fleet seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Then they vanished. The journey that took 3 months in normal space would take only seconds in quantum space. But those seconds would span over 2,000 years of preparation time. Humanity was ready. The Vecren had no idea what was coming. Inside her fighter, Maya felt the quantum jump. Her stomach flipped. Her vision blurred. Then everything snapped back into focus. Outside her cockpit, strange stars filled the void. They were closer now. Much closer. The war had begun. The Phoenix fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the galaxy. 3,000 years had passed since humans fled Earth. In that time, the Vecran Empire grew massive. They controlled over 2,000 star systems. Their ships numbered in the hundreds of thousands. They conquered dozens of other species, killing some, enslaving others. They were the dominant power in the galaxy, unstoppable, unbeatable, or so they thought. Captain Ben Walker commanded the stealth ship Shadow. His mission was simple but dangerous. Get close to Vecran territory, observe their military capabilities, and return with intelligence. The Shadow was invisible to Vecran sensors. Its hull absorbed radar and light. Its engines produced no heat signature. It was a ghost ship. Ben had been in space for 2 weeks now. His small crew of 10 worked quietly, monitoring everything. They recorded Vecran patrol patterns. They analyzed communication frequencies. They mapped defensive positions. What they discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. The Vecran had grown complacent. Their technology barely improved in 3,000 years. They still used the same shields, the same weapons, the same tactics that destroyed Earth. Why would they change? Nothing challenged them. No species came close to matching their power. They were comfortable, confident, lazy, but they were also numerous. Ben counted over 50 Vecran warships at this one outpost alone. And this was just a minor base in the outer territories. The main fleets must be massive. He sent his report back to General Morrison and waited for orders. On the flagship Retribution, Kate read Ben's report 3 times. Then she called a strategy meeting. Her top commanders gathered in the war room. Holographic displays showed the Vecran outpost. Red dots marked enemy ships. Blue dots marked defensive positions. This is our first target, Kate said. 50 Vecran warships, multiple weapon platforms, shields that can withstand nuclear explosions. 3,000 years ago, this base alone could have destroyed our entire fleet. Today we will erase it from existence. Maya Chen stood with the other squadron leaders. She studied the hologram carefully. The Vecran base sat in open space with clear sight lines in all directions. There was no way to approach without being detected, unless they used quantum drives to jump directly into attack range. I recommend a lightning strike, Maya said. We jump in close. Hit them hard and fast. Do not give them time to react or call for help. Kate nodded. Agreed. Operation Phantom Blade launches in 6 hours. 50 ships will attack. The rest of the fleet stays hidden. If this works, we move to the next target. If it fails, we retreat and regroup. Everyone understand? The commanders saluted and left to prepare their crews. Maya returned to her squadron. The 50 pilots waited for her in the briefing room. She explained the mission. They would jump in first, ahead of the main attack force. Their job was to disable the Vecran communication arrays. No signals could escape. No warnings could be sent. The pilots suited up. Maya checked her fighter one more time. The weapons were fully charged. The quantum drive was operational. The neural link to her implants was active. She climbed into the cockpit and sealed the canopy. Around her, 49 other fighters did the same. Launch in 30 seconds, the controller announced. Maya took a deep breath. She thought about Earth. About oceans she never saw. About cities that existed only in historical records. About 8 billion people who died 3,000 years ago. This attack was for them. Every shot she fired. Every enemy ship she destroyed. It was all for them. Launch. Reality twisted. The fighters jumped directly into the heart of the Vecran base. They appeared without warning, already moving at attack speed. The Vecran sensors registered them a full second too late. By then, Maya and her squadron were already firing. Quantum torpedoes streaked across the void. They hit the communication arrays and exploded. But these were not normal explosions. The torpedoes existed in multiple dimensions at once. They damaged reality itself. The Vecran arrays simply collapsed into nothing. The main attack force jumped in 10 seconds later. 50 human warships appeared in perfect formation. They immediately opened fire. Plasma beams hot as the core of a star lanced out. They hit Vecran shields and burned through like paper. The Vecran tried to respond. Their ships powered up weapons. Their crews scrambled to battle stations. But they were too slow. Humans trained for 800 years for this exact moment. Every move was practiced. Every shot was calculated. Every tactic was perfect. Maya's squadron split up. They weaved through the battle, hitting targets of opportunity. A Vecran cruiser tried to turn its weapons on her. She jinked left, then right, her fighter moving faster than the Vecran gunners could track. She fired a single torpedo. It passed through the cruiser's shields and detonated inside the engine room. The ship broke in half. All across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships danced around their enemies. Human weapons found weak points that should not exist. Human tactics made the Vecren look like children playing at war, and maybe that was what they were. They grew soft over 3,000 years. Humanity grew hard. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, all 50 Vecren warships were destroyed. The weapon platforms were scattered debris. The base itself was nothing but wreckage, and the human fleet had taken 0 casualties. Not one ship damaged, not one pilot injured. Kate watched from the retribution. She felt no joy, no celebration. This was just the beginning. She ordered the fleet to jump to the next target. Then the next, then the next. Over 3 weeks, humanity struck 7 more Vecren bases. Each attack was devastating. Each time, the humans took no losses. The Vecren High Command finally noticed. Reports came in from multiple sectors. Entire bases going silent. Patrol groups disappearing. Someone was attacking them, but who? All the known resistance groups were too weak. All the conquered species were too beaten down. The idea that humans had returned never occurred to them. Humans were extinct. The record said so, but after the 10th attack, Vecren investigators arrived at one of the destroyed bases. They found wreckage, debris from human ships, fragments with genetic markers. When they analyzed the DNA, their scientists made a discovery that terrified the Empire. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Torres intercepted the Vecren communication. She sat in the signal intelligence station on the Retribution, listening to encrypted channels. When she heard the message from the investigation team, she immediately called General Morrison. "General, you need to hear this." Kate came to the station. Lisa played the recording. It was in the Vecren language, but the translation software worked perfectly. A Vecren voice spoke in panicked tones. "The genetic analysis is complete. The attackers are human, the species from Earth, the extinct species. But they are not extinct. They are here, and their technology is far beyond ours," Kate smiled. It was a cold smile without humor. "Good. Let them know. Let them be afraid." The message reached the Vecren Emperor within hours. Jathik was the supreme ruler of the Empire. His species lived for hundreds of years. He personally led the invasion of Earth 3,000 years ago. He remembered humans, weak creatures with primitive weapons. They died so easily. But this report said something different. It said humans had advanced technology. It said they were winning every battle. It said they took no casualties. Jathik did not understand how this was possible. He called his military advisors. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. "Over 400 warships across 10 bases," the admiral replied, "all destroyed in less than a month. We estimate the human force is small, maybe 50 to 100 ships. But they are incredibly effective." Jathik felt something he never experienced before. Fear. His empire controlled thousands of worlds. His fleets numbered in the hundreds of thousands. But if the humans could destroy 400 ships with only 50 or 100 of their own, what happened when they brought their full force? "Send scouts," he ordered. "Find their homeworld. Find their fleet. I want to know everything about them." But the scouts found nothing. The human fleet moved like ghosts. They struck and vanished. They left no trail, no clues. The only evidence they existed was the wreckage they left behind. Meanwhile, humanity continued its campaign. Kate planned each attack carefully. They hit supply depots, military installations, ship construction yards. Every target weakened the Vecren Empire a little more, and every victory made humanity stronger. They recovered Vecren technology. They learned Vecren tactics. They adapted and improved. Maya led her squadron on every mission. She became famous among the fleet. Pilots told stories about her skill, how she could dodge missiles that moved at impossible speeds, how she destroyed 3 enemy cruisers in one attack run, how she never missed a shot. Some called her the Angel of Vengeance. Others called her death itself. But Maya did not care about fame. She only cared about the mission. Every Vecren ship she destroyed was one step closer to Earth. Every base eliminated was one obstacle removed. She would keep fighting until they reached home. Or until she died trying. 3 months after the first attack, Kate called another meeting. The commanders gathered in the war room. She activated the holographic display. It showed a map of Vecren territory. Blue arrows marked human attacks. Red zones marked Vecren strength. "We have proven our superiority," Kate said. "The Vecren know we exist. They... Emperor Jatik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Around him, 9,999 other warships filled the void of space. 10,000 ships. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Enough firepower to burn entire solar systems, all focused on one goal: destroy the humans, finish what he started 3,000 years ago. The meeting point was called the Nexus. It sat at the border between Vecran territory and neutral space. Here the humans would face the full might of the Empire. Here, they would learn that their small victories meant nothing. Numbers always win. And the Vecran had all the numbers. On the human flagship Retribution, General Kate Morrison studied the tactical display. 10,000 enemy ships. Her intelligence was accurate. The entire Vecran battle fleet gathered in one place. Jatik himself commanded them. This was the decisive battle. Win here and the war was half over. Lose and humanity's revenge ended before it truly began. She had 500 ships. The entire Phoenix fleet against 10,000. The odds were 20-1. On paper, this fight was impossible. But Kate did not believe in paper. She believed in her people, in their training, in their technology, in their burning need for justice. All ships report ready, her tactical officer announced. Kate nodded. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. This was it, the moment 3,000 years of preparation led to. She needed to say something meaningful, something that would inspire her people. But when she spoke, her words were simple. Remember Earth, that was all. 2 words, but across 500 ships, thousands of voices repeated them. Remember Earth in fighter cockpits, on gun decks, in engine rooms. Everywhere people said those 2 words like a prayer, like a promise. Maya Chen sat in her fighter, hands steady on the controls. Behind her, 49 other pilots waited. The vengeful squadron was ready. She thought about her grandmother's stories, about blue skies and green grass, about a world where children could play without fear. That world was gone. But maybe if they won today, they could build it again. The Vecran fleet began to move. They came in a massive wall formation, ships packed so tight they almost touched, the classic Vecran tactic. Overwhelming force, nowhere to dodge, nowhere to hide, just raw power crushing everything in its path. Kate watched them come. She smiled. The Vecran learned nothing. 3,000 years and they still fought the same way. Predictable, rigid, stupid. Execute Plan Phoenix, she ordered. The human fleet split into 50 groups of 10 ships each. They spread out, creating a sphere around the approaching Vecran wall. The Vecran commanders were confused. Why spread out? That just made the humans easier to surround. But they did not understand 3-dimensional combat. They still thought in terms of naval battles on a flat ocean. Space was not flat. The Vecran opened fire first. 10,000 ships unleashing their weapons at once. Energy beams filled space. Missiles streaked through the void. It looked like a solid wall of light. Unstoppable, unavoidable. Every human ship activated quantum drives at the same moment. They blinked out of existence. The Vecran weapons hit empty space. 10,000 ships fired at ghosts. The human ships reappeared inside the Vecran formation, right in the middle of their packed ranks. At point-blank range. The Vecran crews panicked. Their sensors went crazy. Enemy contacts everywhere. How did they get so close? The humans opened fire. Plasma beams cut through Vecran hulls. Quantum torpedoes exploded in multiple dimensions. Ships that survived 3,000 years of conquest died in seconds. The Vecran tried to return fire, but their ships were packed too tight. They hit each other more often than they hit humans. Maya and her squadron went after the Vecran flagship. The Eternal Dominion was massive. 5 miles long and covered in weapons. It should have been impossible for 50 fighters to threaten it. But Maya knew the design. She studied it for years. She knew every weak point. Every vulnerable system. The squadron split up. Each fighter took a different approach vector. They wove through defensive fire like they were dancing. Vecran gunners could not track them. Human neural implants let the pilots react in microseconds. By the time a Vecran gunner pulled the trigger, the target was already somewhere else. Maya targeted the shield generators. She fired 3 torpedoes in quick succession. Each one hit a different generator. The shields flickered and died. The flagship was naked, vulnerable. Maya armed her last torpedo and dove toward the engine section. Fire, she said calmly. The torpedo streaked toward its target. It passed through the gap where the shields used to be. It struck the main reactor housing and detonated. The explosion tore through the ship's spine. Secondary explosions followed. The mighty Eternal Dominion broke apart. Emperor Jathic died without understanding what happened. One moment he was commanding the greatest fleet in history. The next his ship was disintegrating around him. His last thought was confusion. How could humans do this? They were supposed to be extinct, but the humans were not done. Commander Sam Rodriguez deployed the secret weapon. From 20 human carriers, millions of tiny objects poured out. They looked like specks of dust. But each speck was a micro-drone carrying a quantum charge. The swarm spread across the battlefield. Individual drones were too small for Vecran sensors to detect. They slipped through shields like the shields did not exist. They infiltrated ships through exhaust ports, weapons tubes, tiny hull breaches. Once inside, they found the reactor cores and detonated. Entire Vecran battle groups exploded from within. One ship would blow up, then another, then 10 more. The Vecran could not understand what was happening. They could not see the threat. They could not fight back. They just died, one ship after another in cascading chains of destruction. General Morrison watched the battle unfold. The tactical display showed a massacre. Red symbols representing Vecran ships disappeared by the hundreds. Blue symbols representing human ships remained steady. Losses minimal. 3 ships damaged, none destroyed. Time to end this, she said quietly. The Retribution's main weapon powered up. The Stellar Lance, it took 5 minutes to charge. Energy drawn from the ship's main reactor, focused through crystalline arrays designed by a civilization that died millions of years ago. The weapon that could crack planets. Kate selected her target. A cluster of 50 Vecran capital ships trying to form a defensive position. They were bunched together, shields overlapping, thinking that made them stronger. Fire, she ordered. The Stellar Lance shot out from the Retribution. It looked like a beam of pure white light. But it was so much more. The beam existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It passed through normal space and quantum space at the same time. Shields could not stop it. Armor could not block it. When it hit something, that thing simply ceased to exist. The 50 Vecran ships vanished. Not exploded. Not destroyed, just gone. Erased from reality. The surrounding ships were thrown backward by the energy wave. Their systems overloaded. Their crews were knocked unconscious. The Vecran fleet broke. After 3,000 years of conquest, after millions of battles, after crushing dozens of species, they finally experienced something new. Terror. Pure, absolute terror. The survivors turned and ran. Thousands of ships abandoned the battle. They jumped to quantum space without coordination, without orders, without discipline. They just fled. Kate did not pursue. She let them go. She wanted them to run. She wanted them to spread stories. She wanted every Vecran in the galaxy to hear about this battle, to hear how humanity returned from extinction, to hear how the species they thought they destroyed came back stronger, better, unstoppable. The Battle of Nexus Point lasted 3 hours. When it ended, humanity lost 43 ships. The Vecran lost over 8,000. Their emperor was dead. Their main fleet was shattered. And most importantly, their confidence was broken. Maya returned to the Retribution with her squadron. All 50 fighters made it back. She climbed out of her cockpit and looked around. Engineers were already repairing damaged ships. Medical teams treated the injured. Everyone moved with purpose. With pride, they won. Against impossible odds, they won. General Morrison called a meeting. Every captain, every squadron leader, every department head gathered in the main hangar. Thousands of people. She stood on a raised platform so everyone could see her. Today we proved what humanity can do, she said. We faced an enemy that outnumbered us 20-1. An enemy that destroyed Earth. An enemy that thought they were invincible. And we broke them. We showed them that humans do not surrender. We do not forgive, and we never forget. The crowd erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Some cried. Others laughed. The emotion was overwhelming. For 3,000 years, humanity prepared for this. Now they knew it was worth it. Every sacrifice, every generation that lived and died without seeing Earth, it was all worth it. But Kate raised her hand for silence. The cheering stopped. Everyone looked at her. The war is not over, she said. The Vecran still control thousands of worlds. They still have millions of soldiers. And they still occupy Earth, our home, the place where 8 billion of our ancestors died. We will not rest until we take it back. We will not stop until the Vecran Empire is nothing but a memory. Are you with me? The crowd roared. Yes, we are with you. All the way to Earth. All the way to victory. 2 years passed since the Battle of Nexus Point. 2 years of constant warfare. Humanity pushed deeper into Vecran territory, liberating world after world. Other species joined the fight. The coalition grew to 30 different races, all united against their former oppressor. The Vecran Empire crumbled, but they made their final stand at the one place that mattered most. Earth. The human fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system. 2,000 warships. 500 were human vessels. The rest came from allied species. Together they represented half the galaxy's free peoples, all here for one purpose: to help humanity reclaim their home. General Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the Retribution. She was older now. Gray streaked her hair. Lines marked her face. 2 years of war aged her, but her eyes were still sharp, still focused. She looked at the tactical display showing Earth's orbit. 5,000 Vecran warships defended the planet. Every ship the Empire had left. Their last stand. This is Supreme Commander Morrison to all ships, she broadcast. 3,000 years ago, humanity fled this system. We left our home burning. We left 8 billion dead. We promised we would return. Today we keep that promise. Today we take back Earth. Across 2,000 ships, crews prepared for battle. This would be the largest space combat in history. Humans checked weapons. Aliens said prayers in a dozen different languages. Everyone knew this was the final battle. Win here and the war ended. Lose and everything they fought for was gone. Maya Chen sat in her fighter. She was a Commodore now, in command of 500 fighters and their pilots. But she still flew her own ship. Still led from the front. She looked at Earth through her cockpit window. The planet was brown and gray, dead but not completely. Sensors showed some areas where life returned. Plants growing in the ruins. Animals adapting. Earth was healing, slowly, very slowly. Soon, Maya thought. Soon we will help you heal faster. Admiral Luke Parker commanded the Vanguard, 50 human warships and 200 allied vessels. His job was simple but dangerous. Jump past the outer defenses. Draw the Vecran fleet away from Earth. Give the main force an opening to attack. Vanguard ready, he reported. Execute, Kate ordered. The Vanguard jumped. They appeared near Mars' orbit. The Vecran detected them immediately. Thousands of ships turned toward this new threat. They left Earth's orbit, rushing to meet the attackers. It was exactly what Kate wanted. Main force jumped to Earth orbit. Now, 1,750 ships appeared directly above Earth. The remaining Vecran defenders turned to face them. But they were outnumbered now. The Vanguard trapped half the Vecran fleet near Mars. The main force overwhelmed the other half. The battle began. Energy beams crossed space. Missiles flew in swarms. Ships exploded. Debris scattered. The void around Earth filled with fire and death. But humans had the advantage. Better tactics, better training, better weapons, and most importantly, they were fighting for something the Vecran never understood. Maya led her squadrons toward the Vecran command station. It hung at Lagrange Point 1, coordinating the defense. Hundreds of Vecran fighters rose to intercept. They came in tight formations, firing in coordinated volleys. Professional, disciplined, but predictable. Human fighters scattered. They broke formation and attacked from every angle. Vecran fighters tried to track them but could not keep up. Human neural implants gave pilots superhuman reflexes. They dodged attacks that should have hit. They made shots that should have missed. One by one, Vecran fighters fell. Maya reached the command station with 20 of her best pilots. The station's defenses were strong. Energy shields, point defense guns, armored hull. But Maya knew these systems. She studied them for years. She knew exactly where to hit. Her squadron split up. Each fighter attacked a different target. Power generators, shield emitters, weapon batteries. The station could not defend everywhere at once. Shields flickered. Guns went silent. Then Maya fired her last torpedo directly at the command center. The explosion tore through the station. It broke apart, pieces tumbling through space. Without central coordination, the Vecran defense fell apart. Ships received conflicting orders. Some tried to retreat. Others pushed forward. The unity they needed was gone. On Earth's surface, Vecran ground forces held research facilities. They studied human remains, collected artifacts, tried to understand what made humans dangerous. Colonel Jake Turner led the first ground assault. 5,000 soldiers in dropships. They burned through Earth's atmosphere and landed in what used to be North America. The first thing Jake did was kneel and touch the ground. Earth. Real Earth. Not pictures. Not simulations. The actual planet his ancestors came from. The soil was red and dusty. Nothing like the green paradise in old videos. But it was home. Move out, he ordered. Human soldiers advanced. They wore armor that made them strong and fast. They carried weapons that could punch through Vecran battlesuits. But more than their equipment, they had motivation. Every soldier here grew up learning about Earth, dreaming about Earth, fighting for Earth. The Vecran tried to resist. They set up defensive positions, called for air support, but their ships were busy fighting in orbit. Their reinforcements were not coming. They were alone and terrified. Human forces swept through Vecran positions. Some Vecran fought to the death, others tried to surrender. For the first time in 3,000 years of conquest, Vecran soldiers threw down their weapons and begged for mercy. Jake accepted their surrender. He wanted to kill them all, wanted revenge for every human who died. But Kate's orders were clear. Take prisoners, show mercy.
Be better than the Vecran.
It was hard. But he did it. The space battle lasted 3 days. It was brutal, savage. Both sides took heavy casualties. But slowly, steadily, the coalition pushed the Vecran back. Human ships coordinated perfectly with their allies. They covered each other, supported each other, fought as one unified force. On the 3rd day, the last Vecran warship exploded. The battle was over. Humanity won. Kate looked at the tactical display. Earth was free. After 3,000 years, humans controlled their home system again. She opened a channel to all ships. This is Supreme Commander Morrison. The battle is won. Earth is ours. But our work is not finished. We have prisoners to process, wounded to treat, and a planet to heal. Let us begin. Over the next weeks, thousands of ships landed on Earth. Construction drones deployed. They began clearing debris, analyzing soil, testing water. The planet needed massive work, terraforming on a scale never attempted before. It would take decades, maybe centuries. But humans had time now. They had won. Kate traveled to the surface. She stood in what used to be New York City. Now it was just a crater filled with Vecran structures. But humans were already tearing those structures down, replacing them with new buildings. Buildings that looked like home. She planted a flag in the ground, white with a blue circle. Inside the circle, a green dot, Earth. The flag her ancestors carried when they fled. The flag that flew on New Terra for 3,000 years. Now it flew on Earth again. Around her, soldiers and workers stopped to watch. They saluted. Some cried. Others smiled. This was what they fought for. This moment, this victory. Dr. Alex Cole made an amazing discovery in Antarctica. The old research facility was still there, buried under Vecran construction. He excavated it carefully. Inside, he found data storage units, quantum drives that survived 3,000 years. When he accessed them, he found something incredible. Records. Complete records of every person who died during the invasion. Names, faces, DNA samples, uploaded memories. 7 billion souls preserved in digital format. With modern technology, it might be possible to bring them back. Not as they were, but as new people carrying old memories. A second chance at life. Kate approved the project immediately. Earth would be populated again. Not just with descendants of survivors, but with the survivors themselves. Reborn. Given another chance. The Vecran Empire surrendered formally 6 months after the Battle of Earth. What remained of their government agreed to human terms. They would dismantle their military. They would pay reparations. They would work to rebuild the worlds they destroyed. And they would do it under human supervision for the next 1,000 years. Some humans wanted to exterminate the Vecran completely, to finish what they started. But Kate refused. Genocide was what the Vecran did. Humans would be better. They would show mercy. But never forget. Never forgive. Just move forward. 50 years later, Earth bloomed again. Oceans were blue. Forests were green. Cities rose from the ruins, beautiful and clean. 500 million people lived on the planet. Billions more across human colonies spanning 100 worlds. Humanity became the dominant species in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through determination, innovation, and an unbreakable will to survive. Maya Chen was an old woman now, 78 years old but still strong. The higher gravity of New Terra gave her extra years. She stood at the New Terra Military Academy, teaching young cadets. They gathered around her, eager to hear stories. She told them about Earth's fall, about the Exodus, about 3,000 years of preparation, about the war, about victories and losses, about friends who died so others could live. The cadets listened in silence. Some of them were not even human. They were from allied species, here to learn from the best.